that when a child is in the foster care system, when they've entered that system, it means for them that there's a lot of uncertainty. They don't know if they're going to be going back to their families. They don't know where they're going to land, if they're going to wind up in a group home or emergency shelter or with a foster home. And if they do wind up with a resource family, if they're actually going to wind up liking that family, if that family is going to wind up liking them. And that's the case for about 2,000 of the kids that we have in the Sacramento region. A resource family is somebody who has been through a pretty arduous process in order to take a child into their home. We used to call everybody in California a foster family. And in 2017, there were some legislative changes that led to everyone being approved as a resource family. The main difference is that a resource family is someone who's gone through the assessment process to be considered adoption ready. You go through one process, and then you don't have to repeat things if it winds up that a child in your care is eligible for adoption. Another key aspect to that is it really supports our kinship families, so people who already had a connection with children, those who already knew them, those who were members of their community already. They don't have to go through several different processes that make it really challenging, that make it really frustrating if they just want to take in this child that they already know. A lot of people believe that if you are going to be a resource family, you have to be perfect. They believe that you have to do everything 100% correct the first time. They also think that they can't because of things that have happened in their lives, because of their life circumstances. Resource families are just that. They are a family. Resource parents are just that. They are parents. And the reality is no parent, no family is going to get things right with their kids 100% of the time. And so what that means is that you are open to learning, that you are open to growing, that you're open to connecting in new and different ways. And yes, working with kids who have experienced things that maybe you don't fully understand, but figuring out what that means for you and for your family. So we have a lot of families that are single, that are in registered domestic partnerships, that are in same-sex relationships, who've been married, divorced, people who rent their homes, who own their homes, people with family members living with them already, adult children in the homes. There are a lot of different people out there, a lot of different family constellations, meaning just a lot of different ways people live. And we need that variety. We need people with a variety of experiences, a variety of lifestyles, because we have that same kind of variety with the kids that are coming into our care. And we need those things to match sometimes. We want kids to feel secure, to feel comfortable when they're coming into a family. And the best way that they're going to be able to do that is by going from one place to another that's pretty similar to where they lived before, where they grew up. To be quite honest with you, I get more concerned about the people that I meet who are not nervous or anxious about becoming a resource parent. The ones that have those feelings, it means they're really thinking about it and really thinking about what it means. The supports that we offer, we have a lot of one-on-one. You have someone available from the beginning all the way through who you can talk to, who you can contact when you have those questions, when you have that nervousness. There's always going to be someone to help you through the process. We're not just going to give you a stack of paperwork and say, go forth. You're going to have someone who is going to be able to talk to you, who has done this for a long time, who has answered these questions. If you have a question, you're probably not the first one to have had it, believe me. And so we will get you through this process. We will make sure that it is as comfortable as we can possibly make it. It's an approval process, which means it's never going to be 100% comfortable, but we want you to know that you are supported, that we have people here, that we have the knowledge and the experience to help you to be the best possible resource parent that you can be. So we do have 24/7 staff support when you have a child in your care. We have an on-call support network that exists, and that is all the time. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas Day, doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m., doesn't matter if it's the middle of the Saturday afternoon. We will always have someone on call to support you. It is also the case that we encourage our families to talk to one another, to spend time with one another, to hang out with each other. So that way you can build really natural connections with other people that are in this. It's one thing to call up a social worker and say, these are the things that this child is doing, and here are the interventions I've tried. And another thing entirely to be able to call up a mentor resource parent who has been doing this for a long time and saying, oh my gosh, this is what happened today. You can connect with each other on a different level. You can talk to each other on a different level. And sometimes you need that instead of talking to one of us. As much as we want you to talk to us and get help from us and let us know what's going on always, we also want you to know that it's okay if you just call someone up and say, I gotta vent. I gotta talk about this, and not with a social worker. We do have supports available for our families who achieve permanency with a child in their care. We have an adoption support group available, so that's for post-adoption, to ensure that everyone is still connected with each other and still able to talk to other people that have been walking this journey at the same time in the same way. And oftentimes they'll already know each other, so you get to kind of continue what that looks like. Additionally, as an organization, a lot of our supports, a lot of our programs actually continue to offer services to families after adoption. The journey of a child doesn't end once that paper is signed, and so sometimes along the way they're going to need some extra help. And Stanford Sierra Youth and Families continues to have that help available. I worked with a client starting about 7 years ago, and he was, I believe, 14 at the time. And all he had ever wanted was a family. He'd been in foster care since he was 5. And it wound up that at the age of 20, his resource parent said, you know what, it's time. You've been here and you're mine. And so this client of mine, this kiddo, he'll always be a kiddo to me, he went to his adoptive brothers to ask permission to take their name. And because he'd been in foster care since he was 5 years old, when we went to the court, the judge knew exactly who he was very connected in with the case, and he said, I want everyone to know that this is going to be the last time we ever call this case. And I don't think I've ever seen a family more radiant and glowing, because this guy knows that no matter what, he's always got a place. He's got a family to go to. He has people to go to for holidays. He has people he can ask questions. And that's deep and it's real. And I've had the privilege of still getting to talk to this family, of still getting to see them, of reconnecting with him. And he's about 24 now, and he's just as much of a stinker as he always was. And the reality of things is, that's going to be anyone. That's going to be any child. They're always going to have their personalities. They're always going to have their silly moments. They're always going to have their hard moments. And what they need to know is that they have a family there with them along the way. Adoption doesn't know an age limit. He was 20 years old when he was adopted. I have known kids that were adopted when they were 7, 8, 9. I have seen babies getting adopted too. Adoption has no age limit. Family has no age limit. Permanency has no age limit. Even if you cannot or do not feel that adoption is the right journey for you, there's always an opportunity to maintain a continuous and ongoing connection with the child.